No, Harry. No. There's nothing doing. No, not 6 million. No, not 6.2. Nothing doing, Harry. Okay, cheers, mate. Bye. Sorry about that. It's Harry Redknapp trying to buy a left back from me. My name is Daniel Gray and I'm the author of Hatters, Railwaymen and Knitters, Travels in England's Football Provinces. I began writing when I was 10 or 11 with match reports, and since then I feel like I write because I have to, and I'm better communicating that way, which is why I lost my job as the speaking clock. I first wrote for publication with an article in Fly Me to the Moon, the Middlesbrough fanzine. I should point out that I'm a Middlesbrough fan and it's not just a very odd hobby. From there I co-authored the A to Z of Marxism, for which was still to sell the film rights. And then I was privileged enough to write a book about the Scots who fought and nursed in the Spanish Civil War. After that I stayed in Scotland but returned to my first love, football, with a tour in Stramash of 12 towns and teams. And it's in Scotland that the reasons for writing this new book begin. August conquers all. Burnley v Bolton Wanderers at Turf Moor. High summer, a compelling, history-scented proposal. A walk from the peak of Manchester Road, hundreds of clarets and blues peppered with whites lumbering towards the match in front of me. It feels as if this town exists today for the football and the football only. Everything else is a side matter. It is a football town in which every road leads to 3 o'clock. Me and the August shirts reach Yorkshire Street and cross under a bolted viaduct like millions before us. On this road of yellow bricks, Turf Moor comes into view, a hazy emerald city. The first day sun beams invincibly, and the noises of match day stoke up once more, a routine soundtrack blown on and dusted down like a photo from the loft. I've lived in Scotland for a decade. It's my home, but it's not where I belong and not where I'm from. I love England. I miss England, maybe because I don't live there. It feels as if Scotland's drifting apart and I'm drifting away from England, and I wanted to see what it looked like now. Turning 30, it seemed like a good vantage point. 30 is not a big age if you're 40 or 60, but when you see the world through the prism of football, it is, because footballers, of course, are looking for that last big payday, as the cliche goes. So 30 felt like something. And it also feels that when you're 30 and born in the early 80s, you're the last of something. You're the last generation who stood on terraces but have also seen the Sky Revolution in football. And you're the last generation whose grandparents fought in the war. Then there were these parallels. I turned 30 in 2011, born in 1981. And of course, in both years, there was rioting on the streets of England. There was a royal wedding. There was a disliked Tory government. Electronic music was on the ascendancy. It felt as if it was some kind of tribute act going on. So, through football, I would go back to England, taking teams who finished first, second and bottom in the 81-82 season, because I've always defined my life through seasons. And I would look again at England. The firing gun has spoken and Saturday night in Watford begins. Girls shiver behind folded arms in the long queue for cash. There seem to be arms and legs everywhere, heels and straps too. Dance music beats compete like fairground soundtracks and bouncers nod along, preparing. There are 8 or 9 pubs and clubs to be stumbled between, and outside most promotion staff hop around, dishing out flyers. A terracotta lady outside Paparazzi offers me one for a foam party. She then looks me up and down and revokes the offer. Gangs of lads and gaggles of lasses cast their eyes around and talk of eating being cheating in the pissed as a rat race. For all of these people, young in an England of high flux and low employment, Saturday night is required. It is impossible to be angry at a place that has such relief valve functions, impossible to be dismayed at England with its hair down. Alright, Sandy. I know, freezing. My journey started in the northeast of England, amidst the snow of Middlesbrough, the infant Hercules. I took in leagues from the Championship or Division 2 to any right-minded person, to the Southwest Peninsula Premier. That meant sweeping across England from Carlisle to Newquay. The book was an affectionate look of England. It was a rejection of the chav town, crap town ethos that seems to sum up our culture so much today. I wanted to celebrate England, and and that included its foibles. I also wanted to look back and show how these small towns and their histories had helped make the country, from Sheffield radicalism through to the multiculturalism of Luton. That went for football too. It was the micro-histories of the clubs that shaped the narrative of the national game. From the Sheffield clubs that founded the game, through to the golden Edwardian era of Bradford City, the 1930s at Middlesbrough, all the way to Elton John's Watford in the 1980s. I would do my journey by public transport alone, think of it as a charabanc of love, and very often I would end up in the public house. You coming for a pint, Sandy? Come on then. Joyous things happened in the towns and grounds of England. I was evicted from its geographical centre, a muddy field, by an irate farmer's wife brandishing a newspaper. At Chester, I witnessed an incremental pitch invasion, which began with toddlers being lifted over the side onto the pitch and ended with pensioners feigning headers in the 6-yard box. In Crewe, I ate a full English breakfast that cost £2, a Yorkshireman's dream. And in Burnley, on the first day of the season, a butterfly fluttered past and the bloke next to me said, "Even he's a Burnley fan." I finished at New Quay, the end of England. I climbed to the top of a cliff and sat, England behind me, the ocean in front, the sun fading. Everything was perfect. "You want a crisp, mate?" piped up a voice from behind me, and then a hand came over my shoulder, offering me a quaver. I should have been annoyed because he'd ruined this filmic ending, and yet it felt perfect. It summed up the humour that I'd seen across this country. It was that kind of humour that turned me into a bit of a patriot, a reluctant one, albeit, because I'm not a patriot in that I think England is better than anywhere else. I just think it's worth celebrating for all its foibles. The same went for the game of football. My faith in it was reaffirmed. Here was a thing in an England of flux, where church was weak and people were divided and alienated from each other, where families lived apart, that was still bringing people together on a Saturday in the name of one unified cause, one community of interest. That hasn't changed. That's got to be a good thing.